Mrs. Packletide's Tiger by Saki. Hector Hugh Munro, popularly known as Saki, was a witty British writer whose short stories mocked Edwardian culture and society. His tales feature gracefully drawn characters and delicately judged narratives. Some of his best-known stories are The Open Window, The Storyteller, The Toys of Peace, and Mrs. Packletide's Tiger. Through his story, Mrs. Packletide's Tiger, Saki ridicules numerous social characteristics of the Victorian Edwardian era. In this humorous short story, Saki mocks the Victorian Edwardian fascination with wild game hunting. The story is set in a jungle in India and revolves around Mrs. Packletide, a woman whose primary aim is to outshine her rival and dominate the limelight, which she manages to do, but at a great cost to herself. Mrs. Packletide's Tiger is a satire on the vanity of fashionable women from the upper middle class of society. These women are indulged in outdoing one another to prove their supremacy. The plot revolves around Mrs. Packletide's animosity towards Luna Bimberton, another pompous woman from the affluent strata of society, and how she is willing to stoop to any level to outshine her opponent, Luna. The story begins with a fuss being made over the latest news about Luna's joyride in an aeroplane for 11 miles with a pilot from Algeria. Luna kept boasting about his adventurous trips to everybody. This ever-increasing fame of Luna pinched Mrs. Packletide. To outshine Luna, Mrs. Packletide decided to arrange a tiger shoot to prove her adventurous streak. A tiger hunt would also bring her plenty of recognition and would make her well known in society. After detailed thought, she also decided to arrange a lunch party in Luna's honor after the tiger hunt, during which she would not only show off the tiger skin rug to everybody, but also present Luna a tiger claw brooch which would belittle Luna completely. To accomplish her hunting plan, it was decided that the prey would be an old and weak tiger who fed on goats and domestic animals. This way, the risk involved would be minimal. Soon a platform was built on a tree and people from the nearby villages who were given 1,000 rupees gathered to witness the grand spectacle. Mrs. Packletide, along with a paid companion, Mrs. Louisa Mebbin, sat together on the platform, all ready for the shootout. As bait, a little goat was tied at a short distance. After a while, the tiger was seen around. However, it decided to rest and observe the goat and did not attack it. Mrs. Mebbin, being a witty woman, told Mrs. Packletide that if the tiger doesn't touch the goat, money would not have to be paid for the bait. To save a few pennies, Mrs. Packletide instantly shot a bullet from her rifle. The massive tiger rolled over to one side and was soon motionless, and to everyone's surprise, the goat also lay dead. The revelation that Mrs. Packletide did not kill the tiger did not affect the crowds as they won their prize of 1,000 rupees. They rejoiced by beating drums, and Mrs. Packletide's joy knew no bounds. However, Mrs. Mebbin had also discovered that the bullet had hit the goat and that the tiger died of a heart attack due to the loud explosion. Mrs. Packletide was annoyed by this discovery, but she continued basking in her glory. The news that she had killed the tiger spread like wildfire, and Mrs. Packletide shot to fame instantly. Her picture and adventurous story were published in various magazines. As decided, she threw a lunch party, but Luna did not attend as she was green with envy. However, Mrs. Packletide's pomp was short-lived and her inflated pride took a beating because of Mrs. Mebbin's sharp observation and crafty nature. Being a shrewd woman and an opportunist, Mrs. Mebbin remarked on how people would react on hearing the real story and would be thoroughly amused on knowing that the tiger actually died of a heart attack and not of Mrs. Packletide's bullet. She also described what Luna's reaction would be on learning the truth. As crafty as Mrs. Mebbin was, she knew she could use the situation against Mrs. Packletide and get whatever she wants. Mrs. Mebbin had been dreaming about this weekend cottage near Dorking and very subtly told Mrs. Packletide that her lips would be sealed if she could get her dream house. Mrs. Packletide realized that the only way to keep Mrs. Mebbin's mouth shut was to buy her that house. Mrs. Mebbin christened her pretty weekend cottage Les Foules, which means wild beasts in French, and ironically also grew tiger lilies on all sides of her cottage. The tiger shoot episode was an eye-opener for Mrs. Packletide, as the desire to outshine her opponent turned out to be a costly adventure. She had to pay 1,000 rupees to the villagers and 680 to Mrs. Mebbin to conceal the truth. Mrs. Packletide's tiger thus mocks the vanity and hypocrisy of ladies from the affluent society. It also reflects how members of society are ready to stoop to the lowest possible level to boost their egos. The wit of some ladies, like Mrs. Mebbin, who make sure every golden opportunity works in their favor, is also portrayed in a humorous way.